So this is a story of a guy in Montana. Where does he live? What's his name? What happened?
Well, this guy in Montana, like you said, he's a veteran. He's a disabled veteran. He's going on 78 years old. His name is Joe Robertson. He's from a small town named Basin, Montana.
Okay. Now, it sounds to me like a similar story where Joe, instead of having a big stock pond like Andy did, had a bunch of little ponds that he'd put all over his acreage.
That's correct.
Now, how is that negatively impacting the environment to cause the EPA to show up?
Well, once we did our own environmental analysis, we determined that there was no degradation or damage to aquatic resources, including wetlands or stream channels, that resulted from the small ponds that he built.
Okay, so but what told the EPA that there was a problem? What kind of environmental study had they done?
Well, we have not seen any evidence of any kind of environmental study that they did. We don't even know if they did an on-site wetlands investigation according to the methodologies in the Corps of Engineers manual. But we do know that he was charged with filling waters of the U.S. that was associated with the construction of his small ponds. And the small ponds were for the purpose of fire suppression, because the little channel in which he built these ponds was only less than a foot wide and maybe an inch deep in most places. And what he did, he needed some ponded areas, some small ponds, number one, for so that the fire trucks, even the U.S. Forest Service, could dip water, pump water for fire suppression, and also for watering his livestock. He had horses and other livestock. And of course, as in Andy Johnson's case, we argued eventually, fairly successfully, that stock watering ponds are not even regulated by the EPA or the Corps of Engineers.
Well, then if they're not regulated and you never saw where they did any kind of a study, was any study presented in court?
Well, we didn't have the opportunity to be at his court trial. What we did last week, we attended the sentencing hearing because he had already been found guilty in federal court this past April. And as soon as we read about online that this gentleman, Mr. Robertson, had been found guilty in federal court, I phoned his public defender. He had a public defender because he could not afford a private attorney. The public defender up in Helena, Montana, Mike Donahoe, told me that he did not want our help. He did not want our expert opinion. He did not want any assistance from an expert. And so I assumed that he was going to just use the experts at his sentencing hearing that he had at trial. And he told me that he did not put on any expert witnesses on Mr. Robertson's defense at trial because he figured that the EPA and the Corps of Engineers were the experts in wetland issues.
Oh, God.
So he just relied upon the government.
So he relied on the testimony of the people who were trying to prosecute him.
That's precisely correct.
God. Okay, so now the sentencing already happened. Can you do anything like just say that the lawyer for the defense was inept or an idiot? Can you use the idiot defense, something like that, and have this retried?
Well, we're in the process of trying to help Mr. Robertson obtain new counsel for that very reason, that his public defender, Mr. Donahoe, was, in our opinion, clearly, you can call it inept, inadequate, whatever it was not an effective, by any stretch of the imagination,
right,
an effective defense.
Yeah, you can't use the kind of language that I would use, in order to do that. Moron comes to my attorney was a moron, Your Honor, And okay, now it's not. Where is Joe right now? I mean, they took him away. Is he in jail?
Well, at the sentencing hearing, after 3.5 hours of mostly the prosecution putting on their case why he should be sentenced to a maximum, which was approximately 18 months for 3 counts. He had 3 counts associated with filling water to the United States, and each count was 18 months to 24 months in federal prison, or the federal judge, Judge Malloy, had the option of probation. So after the EPA attorneys said that they thought Mr. Robertson should be bound over immediately to federal prison, the judge asked Mr. Donahoe, the public defender, if he had anything to say. And Mr. Donahoe said, "I have no objections, Your Honor,"
Wow.
to what the EPA had to say. So they put handcuffs on him. The U.S. Marshals put his hands behind his back, handcuffed him, and took him immediately off to prison without even allowing Joe to say goodbye to his wife or anything like that.
Now, what situation is his wife in? Because I assume there's also some financial fines for this as well. So does she have any money?
Yes. He certainly does not have the money to pay the restoration. He was also ordered, besides getting 3 18-month sentences in federal prison, this elderly disabled veteran was also ordered to pay $129,000 to restore the area. In other words, fill in the ponds.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So now, how fast do they expect that to happen? I mean, with the money and the restoration and all of that? Because again, if he's in prison for a while, is she supposed to get busy doing this?
Well, I don't know how she can, because to my understanding, she's actually unemployed. She depended on his income in retirement.
Okay.
And what little bit they had helping fight fires.
See, what I'm worried about that is that they were going to come in because they weren't able to move on this and just basically seize the land.
Well, I don't know about seizing the land, but I do know that one of the objections that the EPA had, one of the issues, was that in building the ponds, Joe created or improved, I'm not sure which, a culverted crossing of this tiny little intermittent channel, so that he could get to his house. And they have ruled that the EPA is to go in and rip out the culverted crossing, which now leaves Mrs. Robertson unable to even get to her home.
Okay. Now, I was looking, we got about a minute and a half here. I was looking for this story anywhere in Montana. So I found one small newspaper covering it. And I've even asked some local press up there, are you covering the story? No one's answering back. Who's covering this, Ray?
I have heard of no one that is covering this story, but I'm so glad that Andy Johnson there in Wyoming contacted you to bring this information to light, and that you have moved forward to try and make an effort to get this story out to the public.
Yeah, I'm going to start harassing people. Okay, thank you for your time, Ray. The moment you get any more information, you know how to contact me, and we'll get it on the air immediately. My first job is to start making some noise to make sure the people up in Montana have heard of this story and maybe can offer some kind of help. Ray, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. We'll keep in touch as we get in on this fight.
Thank you very much. Please do whatever you can for old Mr. Robertson.
Okay. Thank you for coming on.
Federal prison. Okay.
Ray Cagle on the phone, ladies and gentlemen.